שיש אותך, תמיד את מנגנת, תמיד שלמה עם עצמך, ברוח את מלטפת, את מיתרי אהבתך, איזה מזל. מזל שיש אותך, את מבינה אותי ואת מראה לי את עצמי, מתלהב כמו ילד, מתפנק בך ואז אני נשאר איתך. שקוע בנסתר שבך, אוהב מה שגלוי, אני עבד לחוכמה שלך, ואין בך כלום שפוי. איזה מזל שיש אותך.
Students, parents, faculty and staff, Board of Trustees, it is my extreme honor to welcome you to Gann Academy's 24th commencement ceremony. I now ask that everyone rise as our very own shenanigans are here to sing the national anthem and Hatikva.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Kolot balela lenima, nefesh Yehudi homia, ufate Mizra kadima, ayin letzion Sophia. Olam hatikvatenu, hatikva bat shnot alpayim, liotam chofshi be'artzenu, Eretz Zion Yerushalayim, liotam chofshi be'artzenu, Eretz Zion Yerushalayim.
Please be seated. Welcome, family, friends, faculty, alumni, and last but not least, the class of 2023 to the 24th commencement ceremony at Gann Academy. My name is Emma Weiss, and I am amazed by how long yet short high school has felt. People we met only 4 years ago have become some of our best friends. Today is a day to celebrate, and it is also a day to remember and reflect. At Gann, every 11th grader reads The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. In the novel, Jay Gatsby claims, "Can't repeat the past? Why, of course you can." Gatsby wants to repeat and rewrite his history with the love of his life, Daisy. He wants to relive their story together because he wishes it could be different. But in the end, he is faced with the reality that what is in the past will remain in the past. A part of me, and perhaps a part of you, wishes I too could repeat the past. I wish I could relive my first Shabbaton where I was able to meet everyone in our grade. the feeling of being welcomed into Gann's fully spirited community by Noah's Friday morning singing, and participating in the My Israel program for the last month of our senior year. And, like Gatsby, I'm sure we all have examples of Gann experiences we wish we could rewrite, like Zoom classes, mandatory freezing cold lunches by the GARM, or perhaps we wish we got to know someone in our class a bit better. The list of memories goes on and on. How will we, the class of 2023, remember our time here at Gann? How can we grasp onto every last second? The idea of zachor, or remembering in our tradition, can help guide how we can reflect on our Gann experience and what we will take with us as we prepare to walk through those doors one final time this afternoon. The word zachor appears nearly 200 times in the Tanakh, and in Jewish tradition, we fulfill our obligation to remember in various ways. For instance, we remember the past, the story of Egypt, and the history of the Jewish people. Just like it is important to remember the history of our people, it is valuable to remember our Gann experiences because our journey here shaped who we are and how we will live in the present and the future. The Torah also tells us to remember Shabbat. We are to keep Shabbat sacred in our lives. Shabbat is a tradition and a value that we hold onto and pass down from generation to generation. Similarly, to remember Gann, we can take a lesson or value we have learned at Gann and bring them into our own lives. Remembering traditions, stories, lessons, and values and implementing them into our own journeys is how we will keep a piece of Gann in our hearts as we move forward. So, I invite us all to focus on one moment where you felt that the Gann community impacted your life. Whether this is from one of your favorite classes, a club where you were able to share your passion with others, an athletic team playing the game you love, or on stage performing and embracing your best self. Remember at least one time where the Gann community helped us own our identities. One time where the Gann community helped shape who you wanted to become and the person that is sitting here today. What was our biggest takeaway from that moment, and how can we remember to embrace what we learned moving forward? For me, this moment comes from my 9th grade volleyball team. I was joyfully welcomed onto a team full of mostly upperclassmen, and their genuine kindness helped me feel comfortable and confident in this new community. As I move forward, I will bring a welcoming face and smile to my communities because I will remember how impactful the Gann volleyball team's hospitality was to me. Now, I want to leave you all with one of my favorite quotes from the wise words of our very own Miss Jacobs. Be here now, be there later. Let's remember to be present today. Sit back and take in the graduation ceremony around you. You all worked so hard to be here and deserve to celebrate. Congratulations to the Gann Academy class of 2023. It is now my pleasure to invite up my friend Danica to share a reflection.
Change is inevitable. It is a necessary and integral part of every one of our lives, and it can be good. We began our journey at Gann with just 49 awkward kids crammed into a smelly locker pod on the first floor, but we learned to love that space and grew together in ways we couldn't yet recognize. Then, change came in full force, and we were completely isolated and banished to the cold basement and backyard of Gann Academy, dodging the relentless attacks from Mr. Cadden's 6-foot PVC pipe. But we took those changes and had fun. When blizzards swept our mask breaks, we brought sleds to school and rode them down the hill. When monsoon rains poured down, we had dance circles under the tents. And when the weather got better, we took turns riding Eddie's electric skateboard around the circle and down the street. We learned to adapt, to change our habits and our learning styles. We entered into junior year ready to integrate with the rest of the school, the way we had learned to do in our first year. As juniors, now a close-knit group of 54, beginning the college process, stuffing our resumes, withstanding AP courses, and getting off-campus privileges for the first time. We embraced these changes, even as they challenged us and stressed us out. And finally this year, enjoying a lofty senior retreat, countless life lessons from Layla, and maybe a nap or two on her couch, our fight against the closing of the lobby, and of course, these past 4 weeks in Israel. At every turn, our grade was faced with obstacles, but through every one, we had fun. The defining characteristic of the class of 2023 is our ability to be joyful together in every situation. Whether facing adversity or just embracing every moment, we are willing to be childish and vulnerable in our joy. During our first week in Tel Aviv, we played together as we cheered Caleb to go under a table. In a lot, we acted like kids jumping down the sand dunes. And at Kibbutz Suba, we hung out on the hill outside our rooms and rode those scooters up and down the sidewalks. And every Shabbat, we were able to connect with new people through being vulnerable in Shabbatis. Over these past 4 years, each and every single one of us has grown, changed, and made choices that have led us to this day. Our challenge as we change, however, is not to lose that thing that makes us who we are. And this thing inside each of us is called a neshama, a soul. It's that essence, that core aspect that makes you who you are. When I think about our class and what defines us as one group, I believe our neshama is playful and intimate and vulnerable. We've changed a lot since 9th grade, but we have not lost those things that make up our class's neshama. In the Babylonian Talmud, there's a story in Menachot 29b where Moses receives the Torah from God at Mount Sinai and asks God why certain letters have crowns. God explains to Moses that in the future there will be a great rabbi, Rabbi Akiva, who will derive many brilliant halachot, or laws, from these crowns. Moshe asks to see this rabbi and is transported to the back of Akiva's classroom, but he can't understand what Akiva's saying. So many years have passed that Akiva speaks a different dialect, and all of his teachings are none that Moshe knows. When one of Akiva's students questions his teacher, "How did you derive this halacha?" Akiva answers, "Halacha l'Moshe miSinai." It is the law taught by God to Moshe at Mount Sinai, and Moshe is put at ease. Even though Moshe didn't recognize a single one of the laws he'd supposedly been taught at Mount Sinai, he still felt better. But why? As many generations passed, Moses witnessed that most everything he knew had changed. He was distraught at how little he recognized of the future, but when Akiva told his student that the root of his explanations was right from Moses at Sinai, Moses was comforted. We were still a people essentially connected to God, Torah, and the revelation at Sinai. The essence of the Judaism he knew was still alive. Leonard Sweet, an American theologian, said, "If you don't change, you die." Everything and everyone must change, and Judaism is no different. But we must still remember, as Akiva did, where we came from, and what is that thing that is at the neshama of who we are. Our beloved Gann Academy, you too have changed. When we started in 9th grade, there were 268 students. Now there are 313 students, and next year there will be 352. Students now take semester-long courses instead of full year, and we've increased the number of advanced and AP course offers. And many of the teachers who helped shape the culture and essence of our school are now working elsewhere. There are many reasons for these changes, and they're not necessarily good or bad, but they have happened. And with these changes, our challenge is to remember the Gann that we all arrived at 4 years ago, and to keep that essence as we continue to grow. When I think about what the soul of Gann is to me, I think back to the Gann I knew 4 years ago, when Gann immediately felt like a second home. Our focus was an explorative learning style, field trips to the Fernald School, Explo Week, and amplifying the students through Shema Kolenu and student voices. These things are at the core of the Gann mission: to inspire and to empower intellectually confident, passionately engaged students who, with their unique voices, build a better world. The world was our classroom, and students were at the forefront of it. Let me be clear, there are ways that the soul of Gann Academy has remained true. Gann has emphasized the importance of face-to-face learning all 4 years. We got to be at school while many students were stuck at home. We got to develop our close relationships with students and peers, a core value of Gann. You made a promise sophomore year that we would get to go to Israel, and we just returned from an incredible 4 weeks in the Holy Land. And after a several-year absence, students got to hear the voices of their peers in Shema Kolenu and Student Voices programming. But things do change, and they change for many different reasons. There are some things that must be left in the past. But if we leave aspects that nourish the soul of our school in the past, what are we doing to replace them? How can Gann continue to nourish each individual soul through the types of experiences and connections that were always and intentionally the foundation of the new Jewish high school? Let us continue to bring our learning outside of the classroom, as we did with the MacArthur School and the Gann Farm. Let us continue to take the lessons we've learned in the classroom and apply them to the problems of today and tomorrow. Let us continue to rebuild our cross-grade communities and strengthen bonds between students and teachers. And let us continue to bring student voices into the conversations about policies and programs that most impact the students. Gann has taught me how to question, persevere, and most importantly, how to be myself. So now I ask you, Gann, to look at your own teachings and ask, who will you become? Who are you striving to be? We must not lose our neshama as we seek to improve year to year. My fellow graduates, as we move on from this chapter in our lives, I ask you to think about what your essence is. What is the thing that makes you who you are? No graduating class has had the same 4-year trajectory of change as we have. We've endured so much, but we haven't lost our spark. Whether you'll be on a college campus, in Israel, working or otherwise next year, you'll be starting the next part of your life. You will continue to change and grow, but as you experience this new world and new people, I challenge you not to lose your neshama. And to Gann Academy, I say the same thing. This is a changing world, but the things that built the Gann community are the core and the essence of Gann. Just like Moshe saw, things will change. But as you grow, never forget where you came from. Thank you, and congratulations.
Wow. Before I begin, Danica and Emma, I want to just address your powerful words and your powerful messages. Class of 2023, I know there have been many losses over the past 4 years, and I think all of us regret those losses. But I also hope that, as you both mentioned, through those losses, you've had a lot of unexpected joys, and I think there's a lot of lessons to that. And I can assure you, Danica, our neshama is not changing. We're starting to bring back a lot of the programs you alluded to. And we encourage you to come back and see them when you visit us. So thank you for those words. Class of 2023. I feel particularly close to you because I started as a freshman with you in the fall of 2019. And what an eventful 4 years we've had together. As I reflect on your class, I think about the one big message and one big lesson that you've imparted to me, and that is the lesson of friendship. And so today I want to talk to you guys about friendship and share with you a little bit of what you've taught me about the subject. I think you've all learned that life is a lot sweeter, a lot more enjoyable, and much more bearable in the company of friends. Many of us have heard the term platonic friendship, And we know that's used to distinguish between a romantic relationship and a non-romantic relationship. Interestingly, the Greek philosopher Plato did not coin that term. And he did discuss friendship, but it was not about that. He was talking a lot about friendship as a source of virtue and truth and wisdom. It was hundreds of years later, in the Middle Ages, when church-related theologians coined that term, in fact, to describe celibacy and to justify it. So it's interesting that Plato never really was involved in that term, but he's associated with it. But hundreds of years before Plato, the rabbis were exploring the nature of friendship as well. And there's a saying that we've all learned in our studies, "Aseh lecha rav ukneh lecha chaver," appoint for yourself a teacher and acquire for yourself a friend. And all of you have studied modern Hebrew, so you know the word, the root kneh, comes from the Hebrew word liknot, to buy. Right? And I've always been very troubled by this. Are the rabbis telling us that we should buy our friends? That seems like a troubling message. So, I don't know where he is, I asked one of my own rabbis, the one and only Rabbi Gabriel Goldfeder, where is he? Rabbi G. Rabbi G, what's this about? Why is Pirkei Avot telling us to buy our friends? And Rabbi G, in his typical manner, gave me a great explanation. He said, the mandate to buy yourself a friend acknowledges that every friendship has an economy. Probably not with money, but there are agreements, like I'll listen to you and care about you and take your problems seriously, but you have to do the same for me. Or we send cards for each other's birthdays. Or I'll listen to your problems and you'll give me encouragement. But all friendships have some kind of economy, and that's what the rabbis were alluding to, and that economy makes that friendship run. And if it falls apart, then the friendships die. Friendship is not unconditional. You can't take it for granted, or you'll lose it. And as you separate and go on your individual journeys tomorrow, it will require much more effort and investment to keep in touch with the friends you've made here. And I want to encourage you to do so. Because deep childhood friendships are irreplaceable. And I'm not only talking about the friends you've made in high school, but the friends you're about to make in the next chapter of your lives. The friends you make in young adulthood are irreplaceable. Because these are the friends who knew your family. They are the only friends who had the chance to sit at your nuclear family in the kitchen and sort of observe what was happening. And years later, you'll really appreciate that. Because years later, any other friend that you make, you'll have to explain your story in a way that you won't have to explain your story to one another. I think your class, more than anyone else, understands how therapeutic friendship can be. As you both alluded to, the sophomores in 2020 did not exactly get the choice zone. They were relegated to the science wing, which was 4 or 5 classrooms in the basement, and they had to stay there the whole entire year. And then for every hour or so, we sent them outside for a mass break, and they had to eat outside, even in the 20-degree weather. And that was their sophomore year. And I used to come down and supervise the mass breaks and watch you guys, and just marvel about the fact that even though it was like 25 degrees and you were eating outside and your fingers were essentially coming off, you were cracking each other up. You were laughing, you were joking. It was as if there wasn't a 100-year pandemic happening around you. And I have to admit, and I never told you this, I was a little jealous. Because I think that we adults, especially that year, did not invest in our friendships. And I think we should have, because I think it would have made it more bearable. And so I think you all know, more than we do in some ways, that friendship helps us cope, both in terms of our mental health and our physical health. Interestingly, there are some fascinating studies about friendship and its impact on our physical and our mental health, 2 that I'll share with you. The first was a study at University of Virginia, and it was fascinating. They asked participants to climb a very steep hill. And they divided the participants into groups. One group had to climb a steep hill with a friend, with a very close friend. One had to climb a steep hill by themselves. And the people who were asked to climb the very same steep hill rated it much less challenging if they were with their friend. It was the same hill. And that shows you sort of how we see the world often is connected to how we feel when we're connected to other people. Another study that's like actually a little disturbing comes from medicine or biological science. There was a study, get this, where researchers put a cold virus in people's nostrils. And they wanted to see from the participants who would develop the cold symptoms. So everyone got the cold virus, but they wanted to see who would actually get a cold. And they found when they controlled for every other variable, and this is how social scientists do their research, the one variable that sort of differentiated between who would get a cold and who wouldn't were those that were more connected. People who were more connected, had better social networks, rated themselves as having closer friends, were less likely to get a cold. So make a friend. It's good for your health. I think, going back to what the rabbis told us about friendship, I think they understood this before modern social science. Many of us know that story about Honi, who found the carob tree. You guys know the story, and he slept there, and it was 70 years. And often we tell this story on Tu B'Shvat as an environmentalist sort of message. But the truth is, if you read through the entire story, there's a very different message. Because at the very end, Honi, who's the guy who sleeps under a carob tree, wakes up. And what does he do? He goes around town and looks for his children and his friends, and they've all died. And he's distraught. And he just wants to die himself because he can't live in a world without his friends and his loved ones. At the very end of that story, Rava says, this story goes to say that better friendship than death, or friendship or death, which is a very sort of dark ending to a story that we often read on Tu B'Shvat. But I think the rabbis were trying to say friendship is not to be overlooked. These sorts of friends that you've developed, they are essential to your health. Now, I know some of you are thinking, I'm really excited to make some new friends. I want to get out of this place, and it's been a small class, and I want to make some new friends. And I think that's the larger point, which is that as you go out into the world, invest your time in developing friendships. And you're going to have a lot of competing demands on your time. You're going to have your academic studies, you're going to have your professional advancement, you're going to have your romantic interests. Public service announcement from your grandparents, don't ignore that one. But despite all of the competing demands, don't forget to invest in platonic friendship. I'll end with a personal story. When I was in my 20s, I was living in New York City, and I was living with a college roommate who was essentially a very close friend. And we would go out and meet lots of people. And one day she took me aside and she said, Dahlia, I'm going to give you some feedback. When you meet new people, you tend to ask them a lot of questions, like one after another. It's enough. If you're barraging them with questions, just stop. Your style of conversation is just a little much. And at first I was deeply offended. How could my close friend, my college roommate, be so critical? But then I thought about it, and over the years I've thought about it. That's real friendship. Someone who's giving you feedback and making you a better person. So, to the small but mighty class of 2023, and I sort of want to talk to you, but I also want to make sure everyone can hear. Danica and Emma have already mentioned this. You are one of a kind. We started together in the 9th grade, and it was like an amoeba-like formation in the 9th grade locker pod. You were all sitting together. And then in 10th grade, as we've all alluded to, it was in the science wing. And at the Gann farm, the GARM. And 11th grade, you produced an epic Purim spiel, right? It was amazing. Yeah, let's give it up. And in 11th grade, after being sort of banished to the science wing, these guys came out and right away, they took on the mantle of leadership at the school and all their activities. And then the beginning of 12th grade, it was really stressful. I talked to a lot of you about your stress. It was a mistake not to put flex blocks in the middle of the day. And you clearly pointed that out. So next year there will be no flex blocks at the beginning of the day. But besides that, it was just a stressful fall with college and advanced classes. And you guys did it. You did it. And you did it with grace and humility and hard work, and because you relied on your friendships. So class of 2023, in a few moments, I will hand you your diplomas, and you will no longer be my students. In a few moments, you will no longer be students at Gann Academy. In a few moments, you will no longer be my very first class as head of school. In a few moments, I will be honored to call you my friends. Thank you, and Mazal Tov. Okay, so now it's my pleasure to introduce Nadav and Meital, who will give us their speech, their graduate speech in Hebrew.
שלום, אני מיטל בייקר.
ואני נדב כהן.
כשאני חושבת על בית הספר התיכון שלנו, אני חושבת מה יש רק בגן.
נכון, רק בגן נכנסים לבית הספר ביום שישי בבוקר, ורואים תלמידים ומורים בלובי מנגנים על כלי נגינה ושרים כדי לקבל את כולם לשישי שבת.
אני אוהבת את זה. רק בגן רואים את קבוצות הספורט מסתובבות בבגדי טוטו, בבגדי ארצות הברית או חליפות, כדי להיות מוכנים למשחקים.
ורק בגן תסיים את השיחה שלך אחרי 20 דקות עם מר קדן במסדרון בדרך לשירותים.
רק בגן אפשר לגלח את הראש של המורה שלך. תודה דוקטור פריצ'ט, או להתחפש לזקנים כתלמידי י"ב בחג פורים.
ורק בגן אפשר להתחפש כאובי-וואן קנובי ולשחק בקרב חרבות אורות במסדרון.
אבל זה הרבה יותר מזה. גן נתן לי הזדמנויות לפתח את המנהיגות שלי ולהוביל. במהלך 4 שנים בניתי את הביטחון העצמי שלי בהרבה תחומים. אהבתי לשחק ספורט, להוביל ולהיות חלק מקבוצות שבהם כולם תומכים באחד השני.
ואני אהבתי לישון בזמן החופשי שלי.
כמו שאני ונדב שונים, בגן, הרקע הדתי של התלמידים גם שונה זה מזה. אך למרות זאת, כולם מתאחדים, לומדים ומכבדים האחד את השני.
כפי שרבים מכם אולי יודעים, השכבה שלנו הקטנה ביותר בגן, עם 54 תלמידים. בגלל הגודל הקטן, השכבה שלנו הייתה את ההזדמנות להכיר אחד את השני בצורה טובה, דרך לימוד בכיתות קטנות, מועדונים ושבתונים. היו לנו עליות וירידות, אך בסוף כולנו קרובים אחד לשני, במיוחד אחרי שהיינו חודש בישראל. איזה כיף,
היה לנו כל כך כיף. באופן מסורתי, בית מדרש הוא חדר שלומדים בו. בגן, בית המדרש משמש כמקום לכינוסים, הרצאות ותוכניות שונות. הוא גם מקום שבו התחלנו את כל השבתונים שלנו.
אבל בגן, הרעיון של בית מדרש הוא יותר מרק מקום פיזי. רק בגן, הלמידה מתרחשת בכל מקום, בכל זמן ועם כל אחד. בשיחות במסדרון, בחדר האוכל, בישיבה בחוץ מתחת לעץ ומתחת לאוהל, בזמן ההליכה או בזמן שאנחנו בגרמינג, שלאלו שלא יודעים, זה החווה פה בגן. וכמובן, בזמן שהיינו בישראל.
בגן, הרעיון של בית מדרש הוא לא רק המקום הספציפי והמיוחד, אלא הרוח של בית מדרש שוכנת בכל אחד מהתלמידים והמורים.
והיום, שאנחנו מוכנים לעזוב את גן, אנחנו יודעים שאנחנו נישא את הרוח של גן בכל מקום אליו נלך. תודה.
תודה.
As a Gann tradition, our class voted on a faculty speaker to commemorate this important moment. It is my honor to welcome someone who we feel so connected to as a class and who has helped us prepare to take this next step in our lives. Please welcome Ms. Kate Bile to deliver the faculty address to the graduates.
Class of 2023. Hi, friends. I am so honored to speak to you today. I have my suspicions that you mostly wanted to get me back for assigning you many challenging writing assignments, but I'm glad to be here anyway. I want to speak to you today about the power of revision
Yes, seriously. More on that topic you've already heard so much about from me and your teachers. In Gann English classes, we spend a lot of time talking about what it means to effectively revise a piece of writing. We teach you that effectively revising a composition isn't just proofreading or correcting an error that someone else points out to you. We preach radical revision, the idea that revision means rewriting a piece, taking it apart and reconsidering it. Effective revision means asking yourself, what did I mean to say? And am I actually expressing that? What could work better? What's working here? What should I cut? Effective revision requires knowing what you're really trying to accomplish and ensuring your work aligns with your goals. I think major life changes call for a similar kind of self-questioning. Major transitions in our lives offer opportunities to revise, to keep the great, strengthen the good, and ditch anything unhelpful or distracting. You are on the precipice of a huge transition. My charge for you today is this: think carefully about what you want your next draft to look like. Think about what in your high school experience is worth preserving and expanding, and what you might like to reshape or remove. This isn't always how we live or write. Some of you I know like to submit revised drafts that look just like their previous iterations, as if revision was an option. In my classroom and in life, the fresh start is sometimes mandatory. We can't just do or say the exact same thing again when the task is actually to change, even if we loved what we already did. Others among you are chronic deleters, loving to scrap great drafts in their entirety in a cycle of endless beginnings. You'd rather totally change your topic and start with a blank document than commit to figuring out how to level up what you've already done. When I left high school, I tried to hit delete. I definitely didn't reflect carefully on what had worked for me in high school or what I might like to keep. I was dead set on wanting a fresh page. By the spring of my senior year, I was feeling pretty claustrophobic in my small, independent high school and graduating class of 43. I would have had a hard time that spring pointing out the good in my high school experience. Other than my friends, I don't think I would have identified much worth taking with me. I was just so done. I was so sick of feeling like my whole life was controlled. I was tired of my parents' rules and my school's rules. I was tired of doing all the things and being the good student and kid everyone expected me to be. Maybe some of you can relate. I felt ready for adulthood and independence. I was nervous about leaving home alone, but at the same time, I was so thrilled at the idea of being left alone to do what I felt like. September came and I packed my clothes and my books and my favorite stuffed animal, and I went off to live my very adult life. If we've taught you anything in your English classes here, you should be sensing some foreshadowing now. I would soon learn that my understanding of independence and what it means to navigate life and learning as an adult was way off base. It makes me think about a poem called The Raincoat by our poet laureate Ada Limon. In it, the speaker realizes, my God, my whole life I've been under my mother's raincoat, thinking it was somehow a marvel that I never got wet. That was me in mid-2002. I had no appreciation for the raincoats that had been held over me in my high school experience. By graduation, all I could see were restrictions. Everything that might have been supportive felt suffocating, and I was sure that I had all the important stuff under control on my own. In a way, I think it's really cool that the people around me helped me feel so confident. But here's the thing. My failure to fully appreciate where my success came from didn't serve me well when I left the raincoat holders behind and had no idea I was about to get drenched. In my small high school, I had a great experience. I was sick of it, sure, but I mostly had liked it and found a lot of success. I benefited from small classes, from lots of attention from my teachers, and from the fact that there weren't all that many people competing to join the soccer team or the instrument ensemble. I knew and was known by everyone on campus. But somehow, I had the idea that one's college academic life was something one did alone. So, in my first semester on campus, I was excited to do things on my own. I skipped opportunities for tours of the campus center and the library because I could figure that out. I skipped some classes because I could read the lecture notes. I didn't really listen to my academic advisor and signed up kind of randomly for classes that sounded interesting. I don't think I had a one-on-one conversation with a single professor for months. It quickly became clear there were some flaws in my approach. In the 700-person Intro to Psych class I signed myself up for, I struggled to stay focused. I sat in the balcony. There was a balcony, usually next to strangers, and sometimes daydreamed or did the crossword. I could barely see the professor, and he sure couldn't see me. Shifting from a high school class of 10, or classes of 10, to a class of 700, and I didn't feel seen. Weird. In another example, I struggled in a linguistics class. Turns out linguistics isn't what you think it might be. And the class was aimed at upperclassmen. Who could have advised me better? If only I had made an appointment. I was doing it on my own, but it wasn't going well. I was doing none of the things that had helped me succeed in high school. I wasn't taking good notes or asking my professors questions. I wasn't talking with anyone about my courses outside of class. I somehow thought that being an independent learner at the college level meant being anonymous in the classroom and figuring things out on your own. By the end of the first semester, my grades were so low, my parents threatened to rescind their tuition support. I turned things around, but I still look back on my college years and realize what a mistake it was for me to try to be anonymous. I really wish that early and often I had built relationships with my professors and that I had approached the whole experience a bit more like I approached high school. I wish I had thought more carefully about the kind of community and routines that had helped me be a high school student. I wish I had thought about how to carry the best parts of my high school learning with me to college. And so that is what I'm asking you to think about today. In recent weeks, I've heard you talk about what you love most about Gann. Your bonds with each other, your inspiring classes, the chance to explore your Jewish identity, and the teachers you love and feel close to. What I want you to do is make an actual plan of how you will find or create the kind of learning experience you have appreciated here when you get to the next place. Whether you're ready to say you loved your Gann experience or not, who and what got you through? How did you achieve the success we're here to celebrate? What is the goodness in this experience that you will set about recreating in your next educational home? Get really precise in thinking about what that might look like. You know what my advice would be. Take the tours, ask the advisor, go to office hours, sit in the first 10 rows, get to know professors, find ways to make a big place smaller. Make sure that you are seen. But really, this radical revision from high school to college is for you to figure out. Only you can identify what's worth keeping and how this next phase should look. You, the class of 2023, are a talented group of individuals. I am so moved by your writing, your singing, your theatrical performances, your impassioned discussions, your Devar Torah at Hakel, and your confident and competent leadership. You are voracious, inquisitive learners who thrive in community. And that way of being in the world, more than any of the things you know and know how to do, will serve you well. I see so much good in your 4 years here and potential for so much greatness in the next 4, 10, 20, and 60 years of your lives. We are so proud of you. And you should be very proud of all you've accomplished. I hope you are also able to feel grateful for the goodness in this community that helped you accomplish it. I think it's right to take a few minutes to show your appreciation for those key figures who've contributed to your high school success. So let's do it. Parents of the class of 2023, could you please stand? Show your parents your gratitude. And there's another group we can't forget. The faculty and staff of Gann Academy are here cheering you on today, as they have been all along. Faculty and staff, my beloved colleagues, could you please stand? Please offer your thanks to these educators. I hope, as you move through the world, you will bring a discerning eye to your life. Make thoughtful choices about what's worthwhile and good, and when to hit delete. Craft the life you mean to have. Be who you are, and may you be blessed in all that you are. Congratulations, class of 2023.
And now we'd like to invite the Shenanigans to sing L'Adore Vador to the class of 2023. Woo!
Gifts and we are blessings, we are history in song. We are hope and we are healing, we are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories, we are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Oh, L'Adore Vador, Nagid Galecha. L'Adore Vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. L'Adore Vador, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our heart, from
From the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part, we are blessed, and we are holy. We are children of your way, and the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say, oh, Lador Vador, Nagi Godlecha, Lador Vador, we protect this chain, from generation to generation. Lador Vador, these lips will praise your name. Din, 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 oh. Lador Vador, Nagi Godlecha. Lador Vador, we protect this chain, from generation to generation. Lador Vador, these lips will praise your name.
In a few moments, I will ask parents and grandparents, teachers and grandteachers to rise. And I'm going to ask you to imagine that this is it. That we are now sending these people on a long journey. And just like you would make sure if your child was going on a road trip that they had plenty of snacks and lunch and dinner, I'd like you to imagine that we're sending our graduates on a soul journey and that they need soul food. Food for the neshama, as Danica mentioned. So please stand now, parents, grandparents, teachers, grandteachers, and join me on the second to last page as we give our graduates the priestly blessing. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God shine God's face upon you and be gracious to you. May God lift up God's face to you and grant you peace. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi G. Okay, are y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Okay. So let's do this. My name is Cindy Jacobs. I'm the Dean of Students, and it is my honor and privilege to be able to call the students and to approach the stage and receive your diploma. I'm going to invite Dr. Hockman, Michelle Black, Ms. Blyle. Here we go. Mason Anapol. I kindly request that we hold applause, otherwise we'll be here for another hour. We can do a lot of this. Okay, Maytal Baker. Nate Baker. Iris Basson. Abigail Berger. Max Berkman. Eddie Brown. Eden Cherubino. Jason Cohen. Nadav Cohen. Good job, dude. Yeah. Kira Dayanim. Eliana Furtick. Amanda Fine. Bency Feingold. Isabel Folkman. Joe Gann. Hunter Gannon. Caleb Glashow. Aderet Goldfeder. Brian Goldsmith. Jeremy Grossman. Josie Cammons. Lena Katz. Eyal Kopkow. Jacob Koppel. Lev Kotler Berkowitz. Sivan Kotler Berkowitz. Ariel Laxell. Eli Leader. Roi Leshem. Danica Lipchitz. Phoebe Mabuchi. Yael Margolis. Sadie Medros. Abigail Niger. Hold on. Leo Orbach. Gal Rones. Jill Rubin. Tamar Ruderman. Ella Schachter. Benji Schwartz. Hadass Shapiro. Ora Silbersweg. Max Simon. Josh Slater. Madeline Maddie Mad Spector. Benjamin Spira. Nathan Starhill. Emma Weiss. Dylan Wilder. Julia Wilder. Sophia Woheim Martinez. Jonah Zanger. Sadie Zanzuri. And Isaac Zellemeyer. Wow. Get through that without becoming all emotional. In a moment, students, you will recess out of the gym. Faculty and staff, I invite you to please move to form a recessional lines in the hallway. We ask that family and friends please remain in their seats until students have passed through the faculty and staff reception line. We will reunite in the dining hall for refreshments provided by our amazing dining services team. So if at this time all faculty could move to the hallway, we know what to do. There we go. Okay. Just a little ritual we do here at Gann. Yeah. Okay, my class of 2023, please rise. Hold on. You may now move your tassels from the right to the left. And it's with deep pride, appreciation, and love that I present the Gann class of 2023. We all applaud you. You may now do the traditional tossing of the cats. Woo! And students may now recess out of the gym. You can come back and get them. You can come back and get them. Students, we're going to recess out. Follow. Follow out. You go out, you follow out. Students, follow. Back
בשנה הבאה, עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. ענבים הבשילו את הערב ויוגשו צוננים לשולחן ורוחות רדומים ייסעו עליהם הדרך עיתונים ישנים בענן עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה בשנה הבאה עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה בשנה הבאה נפרוס כפות ידיים מול האור הניגר הלבן הנפל לפניו תפרוס באור כנפיים והשמש תזרח בתוכן עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה 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 בשנה הבאה בשנה הבאה
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow. If we're there, and we help